Over the past several weeks, we've been meeting God by His name. I felt this was very important, especially as we go through the crises that we're going through in America today with what's taking place with the riots and the protests, and also what's going on with the coronavirus, not only in America, but around the world. Seems like the whole world is in turmoil, and people are asking the question, wow, what's going to happen next? Or what is all this going to come to? Or what are the changes that we're going to have to face tomorrow or in the future? What kind of world are our children and grandchildren going to grow up in? Well, we're studying the names of God because I believe it helps us to put our trust in Him rather than fleeting things, passing things that might help us temporarily, but really can't meet the deepest needs of our heart and our life. Now remember, from the very onset of all these pastor chats, I've tried to remind us that Jesus really is the answer. That's not just a saying, it's not just a thought or a wishful hope. Jesus really is the answer. He is the fulfillment of every revelation of God. He is the fullness of God. He is God incarnate. Today, I just invite you with me to trust Jesus. Put your hope in Him. Now, as we've learned and been learning to meet Him by His names, we've met Him already as Elohim. We met Him as El Elyon. We met Him as El Shaddai. We met Him as El Roi, the God who sees. And it's interesting because the name we're talking about now, El Olam, is almost similar to El Roi. El Roi, remember, he met Hagar in the wilderness and she said, "Oh, you're the God who sees." And she called him El Roi. That's the name that we see what God sees. Now we're meeting God by El Olam. This has to do with how God sees everything. You see, our God is a God of permanence. We have a forever Heavenly Father, and He wants us to be in His forever family because He is El Olam, the everlasting God. We meet Him by this name in Genesis chapter 21, where Abraham called God by the name the everlasting God, El Olam. Now, when we think about God being eternal, everlasting, it's hard for our human minds to comprehend that. So how can we somewhat understand what it means to be everlasting and that we can put our faith and trust in Jesus and God as the everlasting God? For God so loved the world that He gave His only begotten Son, that whoever would believe in Him would not perish, but have everlasting life. Maybe two illustrations. When we speak of time, we measure it with creative substance. In other words, we speak of days. Days have to do with a created earth that revolves on its axis in the space of 24 hours. When we speak of years, it has to do with a created earth that rotates around a created sun in the space of 365 days. We speak of light years, that's created light that travels. I remind you this morning and this day that God is the Creator. He is the Creator. He is not a created being. As Creator, He is beyond everything that He created, which means He's beyond time. Time was set in motion by God, created by God when He created this universe. I'm convinced it's the first thing He really created. He created time and then stepped into that time to create the universe as we know it. You see, there's no such thing as time to God other than that He created it for it to be and for us to live in this thing we call time, this duration that we call time. Time is abnormal to God while it's normal to us. One last thought as we would close our time together today, and that is we're going to look tomorrow at an illustration of what it means for God to be outside the box and see everything. I just believe with all my heart, God is so awesome. He is so beyond, and yet at the same time, He is minutely interested and involved in every aspect of my being and your being and this world today, and we can trust Him. Oh, today, put your hope, your faith, your trust in God. Come to Him with all your burdens. Jesus will lift those burdens today. because He died for you. He rose again the third day, and today He just is a prayer away. God bless you as you trust the everlasting God, El Olam, today.